Psalm 110. The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand till I make your enemies your footstool. The Lord shall send the rod of your strength out of Zion, rule in the midst of your enemies. Your people shall be volunteers in the day of your power. In the beauties of holiness, from the womb of the morning, you have the dew of youth. The Lord has sworn and ruler of the earth. You are praised forever according to all the merchants side. The Lord is at your right hand. He executes kings in the day of the rash. He shall judge among the nations. He shall fill the places with dead bodies. He shall execute the heads of many kinds. He shall drink of the brook by the wayside. Therefore he shall lift up the head. Psalm 110. It's the psalm in the ninth hour. This psalm is a very big psalm on divinity. I'm not an expert at divinity at all, but I think what's important to say about the psalm is, I guess, a few things. But it's a psalm that's the most quoted in the Bible. It's 27 at least, most quoted psalm in the New Testament. 27 direct quotations. And Christ quoted the psalm himself, I guess to show he emphasizing his divinity as well. And it's Psalm 1 is really quoted a lot. Psalm 1 is in that's the one that, verse 1. Verse 1 is what Christ quoted himself directly. The title says a Psalm of David. And what I guess ironic is that apparently, even though it's a Psalm of David, the authorship of the psalm has been denied, like the Jews deny. It's a psalm about the Messiah, and some people deny that who really wrote this psalm, the authorship of the psalm. It's pretty clear that it's the Psalm of David, and Christ referred to it himself. So it's not that about it, it's the Psalm of David, and it says so anyway. Like I said, it's a psalm about divinity, so maybe let's just get into some of the verses. The Lord said to my Lord, sit on my right till I make enemies your footstool. And so, like I was just reading in the Orthodox Study Bible, which specifically refers to this psalm, and it says, like, the Lord said to my Lord, the Lord, capital letters, Lord, Yahweh, the Father, said to my Lord, lowercase letters after L, referring to the Messiah, the Christ. So maybe we can even just see that here. So referring to this psalm, in the Orthodox Study Bible has like footnotes. I hardly read them, but I read this because it's relevant to the psalm. The first reference to the Lord, like the first part of the psalm, the first verse, to the Lord, capital Lord, applies to God the Father, while the term my Lord refers to Christ. This question is answered in that Christ is the Son of David in his humanity, and David's Lord in his divinity. So I think that answers the first part of the psalm. So yeah, referring to so Christ is referring to Christ here, and is divine and human at the same time. And that's why he can say, David can say, the Lord said to the most enemies your footstool. I think footstool is another key word here as well, because Christ is and Christ and obviously God the Father are one, and the Father one, and they're equal. They're both God, and then yeah, and he's powerful in that sense. It's a psalm that also shows Christ's power. That when it says footstool, it's like he's God is big, and the enemies are so small that they're like kind of like towards the feet, and he could crush them with the feet. And that's why I like my icon, because it shows the Pantocrator Hodna Lab, bosom of the Father, and how it has the globe at the bottom. Has the globe at the bottom, and it's showing like God's power, God's almighty power. And there's just a picture of my icon there, and you see here Christ, his feet is on the globe. Probably not the best picture of the globe of the earth, but just emphasize that footstool there. His enemies um, uh, make enemies your footstool. And the right hand, right hand here, it's symbolic. I don't think it's literally the right. Christ doesn't have right and left, up and down, but it's to show that the power, the right is a sign of power, equality. And of course, these verses are in other Psalms. Verse 2: The Lord shall send the rod of his strength out of Zion, rule in the midst of the enemies. You see here the strength of God. So it's starting in Zion, like Jerusalem, but then it spreads everywhere. It spreads everywhere, and like Christ incarnated yes, but then he in certain places, but then it's spread everywhere. Like the gospel is spread everywhere, and all enemies will bow down. Okay, and that's why it says enemies. All enemies will bow down. The verse in Ephesians. Every tongue will bow. Every tongue will confess. Every knee will bow. So everyone will proclaim that Christ is God and God the Father is God. And just a psalm that comes to mind, the previous Psalm 91. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion, and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Yeah, just sort of emphasizing God's power, and we we have authority over the enemies. Verse 3. Your people shall be volunteers in the day of your power, and the beauty is holiness from the room of the morning. So what I kept saying with the volunteers, it stands out that we willingly serve God. It's not by force, it's not by coercion. Christ, if it does not want anyone, it doesn't want anyone to force to serve Him. Of course not. Otherwise, that wouldn't be free will, and it wouldn't be love, true love. So, and it would also be immoral. But so we voluntarily serve God, voluntarily love God, voluntarily make choices. Like I come to the monastery, monks come to the monastery without their own free will, voluntarily, and we can live voluntarily, I guess, as well. So we serve God voluntarily out of love, not by force. And that's just an important thing. It's not like the army. It's not like the army. What is the day of your power? The power is, I guess, it's referring to the last day. Like they kept saying Armageddon. The commentators say the Armageddon. So the last day, and I just emphasizing power here again, just like the rod, verse 2. It's God has power, but it's a loving discipline. It's loving authority, like in Psalm 23. The womb here. The womb here is it's kind of like it's like like an infant or embryo. So it's the beginning of Christianity, and the Jew is and the Jew of your youth. It's like see referring to this referring to the nativity, Christmas, and Christ was born early in the morning. Like he's the morning star, and that's why Amber Yusuf kept saying, said over and over, that that's why the nativity liturgy, the Christmas mass, should be conclude in the morning, early in the morning. Like it shouldn't be conclude the night before, because it's not a new day. So it concludes like 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So we're just before the morning star. And that's why he also said it's wrong to conclude the mass 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. You want to conclude on a new day. And I think that's a good point. Verse 4, the Lord has sworn it on rent, you praise for according to the order of Melchizedek. So we'll touch upon Melchizedek in a second. Like, who is Melchizedek? Pope Shenouda has this question in one of his books. His question and answers, who is Melchizedek? And he answers that. Melchizedek means like the king of righteousness, and he's the king of Shalem, Jerusalem, king of peace. So we'll get that. So here it is. Who is Melchizedek? And what is the meaning of what is said in the Psalm, verse 4? So I guess you can read that answer in your own time. Yeah, I guess you can just read that answer. It's a long answer. This is in part one. Part one of 7 years with the problems of people. Yeah, I didn't remember how long this answer was. But I guess in any case, just like we said, he's the king of that's what the king is, the king of righteousness, and it's symbolic of the bread and wine, which becomes the body and blood of Christ. Probably the most important thing, and he's the Messiah, symbolic of the Messiah, and he has an eternal priesthood. You are priest forever, an eternal priesthood. Maybe that's why we keep reading we have our bishop here every time before the gospel, or he reads the gospel. We say this verse, the Lord is rent, you priest forever according to the order of Melchizedek. And so we remember this every single time in the church when the bishop's there. Verse 5, the Lord is at your right hand, he shakes the kings in the day of his wrath. So again, just emphasizing his power. God will judge everyone in the end in his time. And again, you see the divinity, the Lord is at your right hand, capital L, capital Y. And you got to remember, like, when you see the word sworn here, it's showing that Christ, when makes an oath, it always comes through. It's not like man's promises that are broken. And God cannot revoke his promises. He fulfills everything that he says. And so I think that's one thing to stress, in a difference between us and man, God and man. And yeah, execute kings. We said is like it doesn't matter how powerful a king may look on earth. If a king Kim Jong Un ill or whatever, God will deal with them on judgment day. And he could judge, of course, on earth. So just to show you the authority that he has. Verse 6 is similar. Verse 7 is a nice verse. He shall drink of the brook of by the wayside, therefore shall lift up the head. What is this? All the commentators say this shows Christ's humility, like the Messiah coming down in the form of man, humbled himself as a form of a servant. And it's a bit like in the book of Judges, when the people of Gideon, they bent down, and that was humiliation to drink water. They bent down on their knees to drink water. Christ wanted the humble people. God wanted the humble people. So, and Christ coming on the donkey, being born in a manger, tremendous humility. And I was just watching a video yesterday about the mega rich pastors who take a lot of money, and they're not being humble, living simple lives. And one of the pastors said something ridiculous. He said, if Christ was to come today, I don't think he would come in a donkey. it's a direct contradiction. And like they have private jets, these mega pastors have private jets and have a lot of money. And even Oprah, at least in the video I saw, interviewed them and said, "How can you justify having a private jet?" Um, so we see that the humble aspect here, um, the humble aspect here of Christ coming down, like it says in Gideon. How about we just get that verse quickly in John? We see here the 300 people who lapped from the water with his tongue as a dog laps. Humiliating. Humiliating. Who lapped putting the head to the mouth. Hand to the mouth. Yeah. That's really humiliating. Okay? Just like a dog. So I think in conclusion, we see that Christ here is king and priest, is God, the Father and Son are one. He has power over all kings, earthly kings, and the gospel prevails over everything. Talks about Christmas, like we said, and it shows the humble aspects again of God. Some nice verses here, and the beauty of holiness from you of the morning. You have the dew of your youth. Talk about Christ's lovely beauty. It's radiant. It's shining, and the dew is like many and youth, young, powerful, young activity, all those kind of nice things. It's a very divine psalm. I'm not great in divinity. I'm not really into divinity either. But you can read more about the Melchizedek part, like I said. I think it's in the end it's an important psalm because it's quoted so many times. So if Christ referred to it, it's very, very important. So we need to learn some things about it.